You really don't want to have to call mountain rescue, do you? Those good people are really good at their jobs, but just like you, they'd rather be watching this safely tucked away at home. They don't want to be called out because they know somebody's in trouble. So join me on this video while I explain some of the kit I take with me on everyday hike to help you to stay out of trouble, and some of the considerations that you might take into account on a walk, including a recent trip to the Lake District. We've just got back, where we had to make an important decision for the safety of the party, whether to continue with my ambitions to get over onto the high tops or whether to look after the safety of the group. So let's go. So before we get into that, I want you to check out the links below to mountainrescue.org and some of the adventure safe links. Right, fantastic. I want to run through what's in the bag I carry on day hikes to help me and my group or family stay out of trouble. And so on the outside, I will always have some sort of rain cover. The equipment inside will become less functional if it gets wet. Accessible at the front are waterproof jacket and over trousers and a water bottle. Let's take it all out and see what's inside. So why so much gear here? I just wanted to share with you a little story that happened to me when I was 16 in the late 70s. I was a keen and green member of the North Staffs Mountaineering Club, and we went on a winter walking weekend in January in about 1979 I would say it was, and we stayed at Copper Mines Cottage right at the head of the Copper Mines Valley below Coniston Old Man. Now picture the scene. We've been out walking for the day. I remember it being a little bit snowy, very misty and wet, and we were settled down in front of the fire about 10 o'clock at night, and suddenly there was a loud insistent banging on the door, and we opened the door and there was a pale-faced, soaked young man there, and he said, I've left the girls up on the top, they're stuck. We calmed him down, brought him inside and got the story out of him that he was walking with a party of 3 young females, and they'd got crag fast and scared near the summit of Coniston Old Man, and it had gone dark, and he left them in a bivvy bag near the summit. Now there was no mobile phones in those days, no mobile phone at the cottage, so I knocked up the warden at the youth hostel next door, which was shut for the winter, and he summoned the emergency services, which we knew would be an hour or two to even get to the organised at the bottom of Coniston Mountain, Coniston Old Man. So we decided, since these girls were in trouble, then we were experienced mountaineers, or the other members of the club were actually all in their 30s and 40s, experienced guys. We went up and found them near the summit, soaked wet through in this big orange plastic bivvy bag, scared, cold. So we'd taken loads of down jackets with us, bundled them up, gave them a little bit of a pep talk and a hot drink, and brought them down. And I'll never forget the sight of the Land Rovers from the emergency services winding their way up the valley, and they give us a lift the last mile back to the cottage we were staying in, and there was a big debrief, and the Mountain Rescue Service was absolutely delighted that we got them down, basically, so they didn't have to go up the hill, and it was a great outcome for everybody. And I really took that on board then. So if there's a lot of gear here, it's because, please God, touch wood, I don't want to be that frightened youth where things have gone awry. I didn't want to be in that incident pit. The most important bit of equipment on this table is the foam, and I've got a power bank and a wire to charge it up. Before I leave on a trip, I will make sure that this is fully charged
and also that the power settings are reduced to low so the battery lasts a long time, and consider switching it off. So what I want you to do now is stop this video and text register to 999. Stop the video and do it now. Great, is that done? So what that means is that when you're out on the hill, you're able to text your details to the emergency services to 999.
And this is really important because a text message uses a lot less bandwidth than a phone call. So if you are in a marginal reception area, or even if you pass through a reception area and you don't realise it, if you've got that text in place and you've pressed send, even if it doesn't go straight away, as soon as you get past a little bit of reception, that text will go to the emergency services, and you know that information will be perhaps life-saving.
Next most important part is to have the OS Locate app. It's a free app and it'll give you continually a 6-figure grid reference, and it also links nicely to OS Maps there if you've got subscription. So we have a map of the area where we're walking and knowledge of how to use it. We've got a compass and a pacing card there, knowledge of how to use it, and a decent emergency whistle. I've mentioned the waterproofs. We've got hat and gloves. We've got insulation suitable for the day, and my philosophy is, if I stop still for a prolonged period, am I going to be warm enough? Everything inside was in a dry bag. I've got a bothy shelter appropriate to the number of people. I've got a blizzard jacket, so if I've got a casualty that's cold, they can still move. I've got a first aid kit, and in here there's some energy gel, and I've got my food and drink for the day. There'll normally be a bit more than this, to be honest.
What I haven't mentioned is appropriate footwear and my...
But what I haven't shared with you yet is taking with you an attitude that keeps you out of the incident pit. This is the incident pit, and here's you on your journey with your party in good health and nice and safe, and at the bottom here is certain death. Now, before you perhaps even start on your journey, there might be events that lead you deeper into this incident pit, and it gets harder and harder to extract yourself. So, for instance, this might be running late, and that's something you can avoid before you set out. Here might be forgetting equipment. This could be not checking the weather. This could be an ill-prepared member of your party, and here could be something unforeseen. So your job when you're merrily preparing for your trip and on the trip itself is to keep yourself on this flat section and avoid getting down into the incident pit. Now, at any time you can adjust your plans and make decisions according to any of these events that might occur along the way. For instance, if you're late or if you've got something, you might need to modify your trip. If the weather gets worse, you might need to modify your trip and consider turning back. So now we're going on to part 2. A lovely hike that we had this week with my family, and see if you can spot the event that started to put us down into the incident pit, and what was the decision we made during that trip, and was it the right one? Thank you.
We're here by Brothers Water in the Lake District. It's a lovely autumn day,
and we're planning on going up the valley to the right and over Hart Crag and along the ridge above us and back down again. So here's a brief list of things you could consider to avoid asking for help.
Plan the route for the experience of the party. Yeah.
Having the right equipment, such as Kendall mint cake.
Plan the route so you don't get lost.
Plan for the weather.
And above all, I think you should be prepared to turn back. I've checked the weather forecast carefully and we've got some strong squalls coming from the southwest. So when we get up onto the pass at the top here and we get the full force of the weather, I've got to think about the party and the wind chill factor, the showers that are going to be coming through, and I will be prepared to turn back. So we're well equipped, we've got a route planned, it's within the experience of the party. I've got emergency equipment such as emergency food, a group shelter, first aid kit, map, backup navigation. We're all good. So if things are going a bit awry, the first thing to do is stop. Don't panic, take stock. Make sure that you or your party aren't in any further danger. Assess the situation. What can you do about it? Can you do something to easily make things safer and get you out of the situation you've got into? Once you've got your party secure, safe, then reassess and ask if you genuinely need external help from the emergency services or from somebody close by. We've decided to stop here. It's getting late in the day, the weather's getting worse, and what didn't help is I came out to the car and found that my truck had a puncture, so that added an extra hour changing that. So I think here we've got a steep ascent to do, the weather's getting worse, it's getting late, the party's moving a bit slow really, so all of those things mean we think it's time to
Turn back.
turn back. That would be the sound judgment. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe. This video is part of a mountain emergency series. The next one is going to be actually how to summon help if it comes down to that. If you really need to call for help, you need to be prepared for how to do that. So check out the next video along and do that by liking and subscribing. I'm sorry about the rain noise. We struggled in the Lake District this week. We got some good walks in, but it's been the Lake District in October. But I love the weather. Cheers.